And nobody made a sales call to me from CD. It was me who researched and did a conscious call to them. And I reached out to them, and then I was onboarded. First two things that you see, right? Plan and progress. Those were the, I think, two most important pillars of UAP. Let's say Lakshmikant is their one-stop solution for polity for prelims. But with Lakshmikant, you will not be able to solve mains answers. Anything that I was getting from Samachar Manthan, the weekly current affair magazine, I was making notes, topic-wise notes from there. I used to make these one-pager notes in an answer format, which most of the content I used to pick from Samachar Manthan. So organically, that became a process of making notes, doing current affairs, and writing tests. It is okay that even you're writing bad answers. Okay, don't write in the first week. Take a month, get into the grind. For you to wait ki you'll complete the syllabus and then you will write, or after prelims you will write. There's a lot of effort that would take. So I'll tell you also, essay wale notes. These are like the one-pager notes that I have, which I was making organically from Samachar Manthan. Those were mostly GS2 and GS3. A lot of people have been saying that it's not practically possible that you week one essay notes bana rahe the. But I have no incentive to lie. So even there was, then I will not lie. But
and these are your only notes? There is no other draft before this which you had made?
Yeah, there is. So there is internal security notes as well, which are like 50-60 pages. Those 50-60 pages, I made either half of them from most, like 75-80% from Samachar Manthan, and 20% which was left out from the yearly compilation magazine.
Just giving you a sneak peek into how we have reimagined the revision ready books which you should be having. And some people ask that, were you reading newspaper or had you committed totally to the Samachar Manthan? Time tha
No, started, but 1 month ke baad I realized I can't find time. Absolutely not possible.
Okay, awesome. We're starting on time. So what I'll do is I'll quickly tell you the pacing of this webinar. So we've already asked Animesh 5 things, and we've kind of inverted the problem, which is usually a thing which is deployed by all the bigwigs, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger and who not. कि कोई problem solve करनी हो ना तो उसको invert कर दो. If you want to crack UPSC in the first attempt, all the good stuff won't come to you right away. But it's better to know ki what should I do to screw up my first attempt. And then you should know that in thorough details. Once you know that, then you're completely aware of what not to do, and then starts the process of rebuilding yourself or building for the first time in the right spirit. So, 5 चीजें बोली थी अनिमेश ने on things that you should do to, lay waste to your first attempt. And I think those are pretty simple. And I'll just give the floor to Animesh. Please have your videos on, guys. We'll give priority to people who have their videos on for asking questions. It's always better to put a face to the name. Okay, so great, Animesh. This is your first ever webinar here. Largely the Janta is 2026, but there are a few 2025 folks as well because they wanted to hear from you. So there are 5 things that you mentioned that, if you do that, you guarantee that you will fail the first attempt unless you luck out max. Okay. One of the things is you don't have a plan, and you said that your teacher once said that, if you don't have the plan, then someone else has the plan, and, you'll be a puppet to that something. You'll be working on something else. Or what was the quote?
If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail.
Yeah, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. Second is if you do not measure your progress, then you don't even know the KPIs. You won't know what to correct. Then it was PYQ, then revision notes, and then the last important topic is your mental and physical health. So what we'll do is you start with your as better as you can go back in your memories. When you joined us and you were allocated Randir sir as a mentor, what was the initial ideas you came with, and what were the things that Randir sir would have told you over the first months, and what was your plan looking like? So let's have this freewheeling chat. Then we'll measure your progress, and I'll show some of your answer copies so that if you can jog your memory and remember kya gain kiya tha. PYQs mein we will show you guys some of the actual PYQs and the reason why you should see some recurring themes and accordingly plan better. Animesh did that superbly well for the mains. He couldn't do it for the prelims with that much rigor. On the revision notes, I have requested Animesh to share his own notes, so he will open them up and take you through the process of making them. Then I'll show you some of the NCERT notes and the annotated versions that we come out with. This year we have increase the UAP, the mentorship program tempo to 10x. तो आपको दिखाएंगे कि हम क्या क्या कर रहे हैं. And then finally, at length, Animesh will talk about the mental and physical health because he's the best person to talk about that. So Animesh, the floor is open to you. Let's start.
Hello, thank you, Rohit. So thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Everyone is healthy, both physically, mentally, and otherwise. And yeah, so before I speak anything, it is important to know that there is no absolute truth in anything. So it's what if I say and what if I had followed is that is the only way to achieve this in first attempt is not the right way to approach this. But with the limited experience I have and with the general observations and general conversations I have with my peers, seniors, and people who are preparing, there are few things that I've noticed, and I think for you to keep in mind that would help you to streamline your preparation. So any of these things that I say, you can take liberally, which you think will help you, and can liberally also discard which you think does not suit you. And second most important thing is, before you dive into like these 5 aspects initially, it is important for you to understand what kind of help you require while you are starting your UPSC preparation and while you're continuing through the same. Some few of the preparation, few of the help are very common. No matter if you are excellent, you were a topper in DU with a humanities background, with having the similar syllabus. Even though, let's say, your optional subject is where you were a gold medalist in the university, or coming from a engineering background like me, and having different paths, like not the humanities, you have like a lot of departure from the humanities. Still, there are common aspects which are important with the kind of help you would require, but a lot of your background would determine what kind of help you would require, at least in the initial phases. Like for me, I understood that I might not require foundation courses for 2 things. That I had a full-time job, so I could not attend classes, and second is that I felt that I will be able to manage understanding things from here and there, from books, from internet, and here and there basically. And what I needed help. So when I joined UAP, it was not that like I joined UAP with CD in February 2022, and it was not like I like talked to my mentor being absolutely clueless. I was like, obviously that's when I started my full-fledged preparation. Obviously I was clueless about 1,000 other things, but it's not as if I did not know the syllabus or I did not know the pattern. Some background I had, and as a person I was well aware with the current happenings and the usual thing that an aware citizen should know. So I'll just give that background so that it does not mislead anybody. And but enrolling into CD was a very conscious decision, because I figured out that kind of help I require. And in my opinion, that is the kind of help which should be given by the industry and not the conventional help that has been going for so many years now. And nobody made a sales call to me from CD. It was me who researched and did a conscious call to them. And I reached out to them, and then I was onboarded. And I got a mentor. I got Randhi sir as my mentor. So because UAP is a program, why I wanted to enroll in something, because I wanted an accountability. I was preparing all alone without a peer group. Although I was in Delhi, but I was in Delhi only because I was posted in Indian Oil in Delhi headquarters, far, far away from ORN, far, far away from Mukherjee Nagar, Karol Bagh. I had visited the place a couple of times, but to purchase notes and stuff like that. All of my preparation has been online, and I was a full-time, I had a full-time job throughout the exams. So I felt that I needed an accountability, which UAP was giving me. And second, the first 2 things that you see, right? Plan and progress. Those were the, I think, two most important pillars of UAP. That I felt that there will be a plan and an accountability with the plan, so that I will be able to execute that. And second, there will be an integrated test that will help me to measure my progress. And that I felt was more important for me rather than somebody giving me a 3-hour lecture on what is honesty and what is integrity and ethics, which I felt that will take a lot of my time. I anyway did not have more than 5 hours on a good day because I was working full time. So, but having said that, some of you might need foundation course because of coming from different backgrounds. You might be full-time aspirant, so you might have the liberty of time. So it's up to you. I can just speak about myself. I felt I do not require foundation course. In certain subjects, I felt that I was weak. I needed conceptual clarity, but I just did not have time. And to make the best use of my time, I had enrolled into UAP, which was a wonderful program. Yeah. So coming back to the deck, first, it is, as I mentioned, you'll have to have a plan. I have now seen and interact with a lot of people who do not have a plan, like what would their next 6 months would look like, or when will they will start optional. A lot of people have been in the like 4 months, 5 months of the preparation, and will be appearing 2025. They would not have started optional, which is a huge blunder. Or if let's say you are consciously not doing optional, then you should have an answer that why are you not doing optional now. Maybe you would have a different approach. I will respect that, but you cannot be clueless about why and how. It is important to discover a lot of new things while you're preparing. You will do a lot of additions, a lot of deletions, but a generalized plan is something that you should have. So first point, if you don't have a plan, then you are literally self-sabotaging yourself. And your plan should be both a short-term and a long-term plan. How does your entire 1 year would look like? It might not have to be a per day basis. I do not advocate a per day basis timetable, but what I would advocate is a weekly or let's say monthly or a bi-monthly timetable where you would know that, okay, this is what I will complete. So I would know that by so and so month, my polity will be completed, then my economy would be completed, then my history would be completed. And along with that, my optional this portion will be completed. And along with that, this is how I'll attend my test series. So while making my plan, I'll keep 3 things in mind: my syllabus completion, along with my optional, and my test series, and a progress report to understand if I'm back, if there are backlogs, then I'll have to insert that somewhere. So syllabus as well as both your GS and optional as well as your test series plan. You should be aware ki when are you giving this test series, and your plan should also include that, okay, all my notes building has to be also made. By when will I make these notes? All these things, at least a broader perspective should have. As you progress, this clarity will come. Your plan will become more foolproof. Your plan will become more matured. But at least from the start, take around 1 week, 2 weeks before you're starting your preparation and make a whole plan. And the plan is not just about your study, right? You have 1,000 other important things in your life. There could be someone's marriage, there could be someone's health issues, there could be issues with personal and professional life. Take that into consideration as well. I knew that my sister would get married while I would be preparing. So my plan integrated all those aspects as well. So having a broad view is important, but also work on the nitty-gritties. That is important, that you don't ruin your attempt by not having a plan. The second
Animesh,
aspect,
if you could just, give a sense of what was your working day looking like on any given day or a week, because you were working, I'm assuming 6 to 8 hours. Your commute was hardly 15 minutes. What was a good work day like for your preparation?
So for me, the work was a mandatorily 8+ hours. I had a good time with IOCL where I was very productive with my work. It was headquarters, so very timeline driven. You cannot miss work even by a minute less than 8 hours. So 8 hours were a must. Obviously, there were days in which you would work for more longer hours. So my day would look like I used to study in 3 slots. One slot was for my standard books, NCRTs or Lakshmikant, Spectrum, all these books that everyone reads, which in my opinion catered mostly to the prelims and conceptual clarity. And the second part was my optional, sociology being my optional. That was my second slot. And third was I was reading Samachar Manthan magazine because I had to give a test for Samachar Manthan every Sunday. So I was making notes out of Samachar Manthan, but I realized this would be my major source of making notes from mains perspective.
So
So
Samachar Manthan is the current affairs module within the UAP. I mean, just for everyone's sake of understanding, we do weekend classes, and Animesh used to write a test on every weekend, attempt a question and they would be marked, which is the part of the second big bullet point, measuring the progress.
yeah.
Fair point. Okay.
So the Samachar Manthan was a part of the UAP, as Rohit has said. So there, I understood that I'll have to. There was like let's say Lakshmikant is their one-stop solution for polity for prelims. But with Lakshmikant, you will not be able to solve mains answers. And there is, I am not sure, but I have not gotten any qualitative one-stop book for all the subjects of mains, or even subject-wise. There are few compilations here and there, but I felt I'll have to make my own notes. So anything that I was getting from Samachar Manthan, the weekly current affair magazine, I was making notes, topic-wise notes from there. So I had these 4 booklets for GS 1, 2, 3, 4. But Samachar Manthan obviously catered mostly to GS2 and GS3 and few portion of GS1 because it's current affairs. GS4 is ethics, so leave that aside. And the static subject, obviously, geography, history won't be covered as elaborately as compared to others. So GS2 ka, whatever the syllabus topics were there, if let's say there's a topic called federalism. So anything that came up in the magazine from federalism, I would note that in this federalism part. And I used to make these 1-pager notes in an answer format, which most of the content I used to pick from Samachar Manthan. So organically, that became a process of making notes, doing current affairs, and writing tests. Because I was writing tests on on every Sunday based on what I was reading from that current affair magazine. This became one thing, which I think was the most wisest plan that I had, because I've seen a lot of people doing current affairs, writing tests, and making mains notes separately. But for me, all of these 3 things were one thing, because it was the same magazine I was following majorly for mains notes. That was my current affairs source, and I was making writing tests on that as well. So that squeezed a lot of my time and made me very productive, I would say. And since I had written around 48, 50 tests, Samachar Manthan test, so I had insane answer writing practice. In a test environment, I was writing within the time limit.
Okay. I'll just segue to your actual test copies, which we had, and we scanned it out for everyone to see. So you joined us on February. This was probably your first week Samachar Manthan attempt. And in my separate webinars, I tell people, that you don't have to be like a grade answer writer from the day one. In fact, most of us are not. So I don't know if you remember this, but this is a question on anti-dumping duty and countervailing duty, and you couldn't even finish the answer in this particular question, right? Yeah. And then I take them to the answer which you wrote after the prelims. This one, wherein because you had done your PYQs properly and you had made all the enriched notes, you went beyond the demand of the question and you were able to then introduce diagrams and all that. So I think one of the things which stands out, and which I remember you also telling me that when you talk to your peers, people who are kind of trying to improve upon their rank, is that not all of them started answer writing from day one, because we're apprehensive about writing a bad answer. So somehow convince the 26 Janta and 25 Janta to start writing answers, and that it's okay to write poor answers. Do you remember your bad days and what kept you going to write answers?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you see my first answer, that was in February, probably one of the first week I would have written answer. When you're starting, I don't even know what is anti-dumping duty, but this is something that was there in the current affair magazine. Then I studied. So maybe I was not studying economy during that time. Yeah. I was studying, let's say, Lakshmikant. I started with that, let's say. But I had not studied economics by that time. But I got anti-dumping duty, countervailing duty that you read in Indian economy. But this is a part of current affairs. So it was explained in current affairs. So I understood, okay, this is what. But I could not reproduce even in the paper. I did not have that clarity how to put that in paper as well. So 2 things. A lot of people say, how do you write if you do not have content? So the content is what is given in the current affairs magazine, right? I'm not writing content, like I'm not answering PYQs in the first week. I'm attempting only the things that I've read about. And secondly, it is okay that even you're writing bad answers. ठीक है, don't write in the first week. Take a month, get into the grind, 1.5 months, and then start writing. For you to wait ki you will complete the syllabus and then you will write, or after prelims you will write, you are, I mean, there's a lot of effort that would take. I'm not saying it is not doable. There are examples who have done that, but you would see the difference. Somebody who has done for weeks as compared to someone doing after prelims, you will see a lot of difference in their answers. So
yes, I think that's the question which most people ask, that they want to start prepared, like they want to start with that much finesse the answer writing, that they end up spending a lot of time just trying to get 100% syllabus done. Like you rightly said, right? You probably would be doing Lakshmikant, but a big current affairs se sawal aa gaya, countervailing duty pe. So okay, if I were to ask you this, what is the focus on the first 3 months which anyone who's starting should have? First 3 months core focus.
first thing, for somebody like me who was like out of college, did not have that patience to sit for 1 hour to study. So first few weeks will be that, to at least gain your composure, that you will get into the grind of studying. So that's what my first at least few weeks were, that I could not study for longer hours, or I just could not, like, and that will take time, but be patient with that. And then also a lot of figuring out was required. Like I was also confused. Now I'm saying my daily thing happened in 3 slots: optional, standard books, and current affairs magazine. But it was not as simple as it is sounding. I used to also like, acha, I'm not reading that. How will I read that? So all of these things happened in the initial few weeks and few months. Then I gain clarity. Acha, if I orient my daily schedule like this, then it would help me. And that's where also like Ranadhir sir came into picture, where he used to say, okay, you can start this, you can start that, you can start so and so. So since I had no one else to ask to, neither a friend who was preparing, so there I felt, and this is a concept, I needed a mentor. That's why I was looking, not like when I was making calls, I just did not look for CD. I looked for, I am somebody who research a lot. So I researched a lot of institutes too. And I saw who are having these mentorship programs. And now there are many options available, but back then there were not. And the CD was doing this a lot of years before I joined as well.
Since 2017.
Yeah. So I saw that, okay, maybe, and maybe they had like mastered this and they did. So yeah. So that's why also in initial few weeks would be to like gain your composure to study and to figuring out things. A lot of things I could not understand. Like now, it's very easy for me to say that anti-dumping duty, but ye term sunna bhi was also very weird. Yaar, what is this? And I used to Google or YouTube पे 5 minute का कुछ video देख लिया. But I kept my momentum. And I think what kept myself going at initial weeks and also after that also, exam point of view say, was this tests. I am somebody who loved seeing a mark. I love quantifying things. तो मुझे अच्छा लगता था to see कि अच्छा this week I'm writing that and what I'm getting. So इस test में मुझे मिले होंगे some. So for me, the Samachar Mandhan tests were 125 marks. And here I would have gotten probably in 30s May. And then I progressed like 50s, 55 or so. Or kisi exam, there are a few where I'll get 60s as well. And 60 was like the top thing to get. So I used to measure myself, see my progress. And that kept me going. Ki, acha, if I'm I'm quantifying my progress in a way, that kept me going.
Okay, and just on the same note, so Animesh was, like I said, like we all know, right? Only 2% of the aspirants are actually able to take this consistent activity week on week, month on month, right from the start. And so what we've done from this year on in UAP is that the mentor which is assigned to you, and he'll have, let's say, 100 more students, you'll all sit together and attempt it live. Because otherwise you will not attempt it. Chances are that you would avoid these things as much as you can till you think in your head that you're perfectly suited to now write a good answer and get best marks. Because that's how generally we are wired. So because of the importance of this thing, we are making live sessions where you will write the answers, no matter what, no matter how bad it is. Anyway, so with that as a backdrop, let's jump on to the kind of current affairs notes or the general static notes that you were, making And why don't you like open up your PDF? I'll stop sharing from this. And
Sure.
you share some of your notes which we scanned for you, so that, and take the students through the evolution of those notes, so that एकदम बहुत ही रियल हो जाए कि अगर नोट्स बना रहे हो खुद भी, after referring to our notes, they should be like something. Okay, awesome.
Correct. So I'll show you some notes that I made in different layers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible. So we'll provide all these notes for free. The Animesh ke scan that can also be obtained from his own Telegram group. The X Factor notes which you guys are talking about on the chat are for mains specifically. So that is something we worked with Animesh in the last 2 months before he goes to Lavasna. But those would be separate. Animesh, go ahead.
So these are, let's say, mostly GS3 ke notes, economy ke notes. This I was making from, this is where my week 1 notes look like this. This were basically taken out from Samachar Manthan. कुछ इश्यू होगा about dairy sector, तो they would have given Indian dairy sector के ऊपर things. And all of these, the current affairs के magazine में, the things were like this. Let's say there is a significance of that, constraints of that, government initiatives and way forward. ऐसे कर may or may not, like there were some topics जबकि essays under this like headings they used to give, but I understood that I saw a lot of topper copies, answer sheets, and I saw ki everybody, like more or less your answer is that what is the significance, what are the challenges, what are the steps taken, and what is the way forward. And in introduction you have to write data and all. So while making notes, these were my week 1, week 2 notes which I was making from Samachar Manthan. Fishery sector ke upar there is an issue, so I'll make my notes in a way ki starting my only I will put 2-3 data points. And that is how my answer would also look like. When I'm writing an answer, if there is an issue, like topic on fisheries sector, so my answer ka starting would also be on these data points. And schemes and everything are there. But you see, my first layer would have been made in black pen. But let's say after 3-4 months, another certain things came in fishery sector, for example. So whatever the new things that I gotten, I had added here and there. And maybe something after reading from somewhere else, I would have gotten 2-3 committees where in the last I've written Meena Kumari committee and Ashok Dalwai committee. So I used to make add-ons to that, but whatever was coming from Samachar Manthan, I was trying to make this like ek word pe. See, so this is how my answer would also look like. Ki food security and uske upar ek line I would give. Livelihoods, and then I'd give a one line. But I would ensure that in every of my argument, there would be a value addition material, a data, a code judgment, a statistics, an example, any of these things. So this is how you write your answers also, right? You give an argument and explain it. So I was not writing a 5-page notes on fisheries sector. I was compressing that, which is replicable in my answers. And I was comfortable at this. But I was able to understand ki food security, how it is helping, because this is protein rich and all. And this
can we ask from the Janta if they want to see notes from a particular theme, so that they can relate with the stuff that students who are out here, just give me the topic which you want to see the notes from, so that you can relate कि आपने कैसे बनाए हैं अनिमेश के notes से कितना दूर हो, मतलब that's the thing, यार. Mentorship is all about very, very practical stuff. So what you've done versus what Ranker does, how far you are, how can we bridge the gap fastest, that's the thing. Animesh, you can read the chats. And maybe
history. Okay.
Anything from history, let's pick up.
Okay, so history I'll tell, because 1 second. So I'll tell you also essay wale notes. These are like the 1-pager notes that I have, which I was making organically from Samachar Manthan. Those were mostly GS2 and GS3. Because in current affairs magazine, you will not get history, right? Apart from that, some UNESCO World Heritage Site aisa wala thing ho gaya. Otherwise, so you'll not get. So this is how my Samachar Manthan notes looked like, which was also 1-pager, because a lot of people have been saying ki it's not practically possible कि आप week 1 से ऐसे notes बना रहे थे. But I have no incentive to lie. So even there was, then I will not lie. But uh, but I'm saying कि I'll explain my note making process that it becomes clear. So this is what was my organic चीज जो से हो रही थी, like GS2 and GS3 major stuff.
And just zoom out
Let's
your
say
notes, okay, so that we're able to see the screen.
just this is my governance notes, for example.
Oh.
This protecting tribes, cooperatives, SHGs, issues of pressure groups, so on and so forth. A lot of beach value addition you can see in different pens. But let's say these, like somebody asking polity, federalism and all. This is what also, for example, I would have one pager note of federalism as well, which I would have gotten out of Samachar Manthan. But in the month, I started in February, but in the month of October, November, December, I sat down with the syllabus and saw in what topics I do not have notes for. Because apart from Samachar Manthan, I also wrote something called MEP, which is a part of UAP as well, Mains Evaluation Program, where I was writing mains tests before I started my full-fledged preparation for prelims. So in the month of October, November, December, I wrote few tests again here at CD. So for that, I was preparing. Acha, next test is polity. So I'll see ki jo samachar manthan se mil gaye hain, and have revised that. But the one jo nahi bane hain, what would I do? So couple of things. I had used the main 365 for only those portions jahan pe mujhe laga I had not gotten notes organically from Samachar Manthan, the yearly of compilation. And second, so few of the things that you see here now might be from there. But this is where I made pure end में only those topics which I felt वो समाचार मंथन से somewhere or the other नहीं बन पाए थे मेरे से. तो only, and I used to match with the syllabus. So that was my second aspect of note making. Ki I consciously sat down with the syllabus and ensured ki everything in the syllabus is covered in my notes. So as a federalism, judiciary I covered. Few of them would have been covered. Just ye judiciary ka you see, this might have been covered from Samachar Manthan itself. And few I added from the yearly compilation. But for history, for example, I'll have to check my history notes. I'll have to check. I'll reshare my screen. I'll just check my history notes.
Okay, some people, while you're doing that, are asking that if you could take through a process of how do you pick up a topic and then uske notes kaun se basic level hote hain, then as you add more advanced level stuff or the X factor stuff which we have used in the mains, wo evolution kaise hota hai? Like most of us out here are beginners, right? So imagine like starting there and having the legit doubts, and then how do you gain that insight ki yaar ye likhunga to number aayenge, because this is all about cracking the exam with the best possible marks, right? And you got one of the highest, I think, in mains, 473. So एक कोई भी example if you remember, because I will also share 3 answers which I got from Ranveer, which is a beginner answer, let's say a veteran answer and a ranker level answer. And Ranveer ने उसकी पूरी math बताई है. So I'll also make that very apparent. But अगर तुझे याद है कोई भी note का तो बता.
Yeah. So my history notes are getting downloaded. I also don't have my notes. I'm downloading from my own Telegram channel. So yeah.
We'll give the link of Animesh ka Telegram channel towards the end. Okay, everyone.
Yeah. But you were asking like how did I? So yes, a lot of that came organically. It did not come in day one. But I saw a lot of toppers copies freely available on internet and saw how they're writing. And I understood that like the max they can write are 2 pages and 3 pages. And 7 minutes you have to write a 2-pager 10 marker and 11 minutes 3-pager 15 marker. So what is the point to have these elaborate notes when you'll be able to write बहुत कम ही? So, and it is important कि मैं compress करूँ अपना notes because I'll be able to revise them properly as well बहुत जल्दी. So any topic that I was choosing, any topic came in Current Affairs magazine, tomorrow you'll get like somebody was writing the notes there is an issue about judicial appointment, a high court man something. So then judicial appointment is an issue. So I'll make one page a note for judicial appointments. And current affair magazine पे ऐसे ही होता है. If there is an issue about a particular incident, about high court के किसी judge का issue, they will give a background of entire judicial appointment. क्या articles है, what should be done, international best practice, and so on and so forth. So that was made, given in the current affair magazine. So usi se I was putting up, and I was compressing it up, like a heading smaller, 2-3 phrases ka heading and an argument. But what I understood, what is the X factor and what I has to, like, framework banta tha, this for every argument I've given, I will have to give a value addition material. It can't be my opinion. It has to be backed up by something. So a data, a committee recommendation, or a court judgment, a case study, an example, anything. That was the idea. So I was consciously adding things, data materials, while I was making notes. Later
So,
on,
I mean, correct, right? So was there a separate compilation then for all the court judgments on this?
Yes.
I'm assuming
So
yes.
this happened very late. So that also I was showing, I'll show also which I made सब कुछ notes बनने के बाद also.
ठीक है. I mean, this is important for everyone to understand, right? आपके notes upgrade होंगे step by step. आपके answer writing better होगी step by step. And it's important to keep this in mind so that you don't get overwhelmed by the process, because, you know, I can only nudge Animesh to go back to his memory and tell you only so much, right? You'll have to take the leap of faith and actually follow up what he's saying. Are your history notes downloaded?
I don't know. My Telegram is showing connecting. Is there anybody who could download my history notes from my Telegram channel?
Wait. Let me share the next thing that तक वो download होता है. Okay, so.
But I'll share my दूसरे notes. The one that you was saying now.
Are you sharing? I'll stop share then.
For example, those GS3 I showed, polity, governance, show my history as well. But for example, this. Yeah. So this is a compilation I made, let's say, after prelims. This is for quick revision. Like, I can only understand. I can't even make you understand what is this. But this was everything that I had to revise for internal security. So all the data at one place. The committee recommendations, what they are saying. I mean, I can completely understand what I had written, but might be difficult for. So this
and these are your only notes. There is no other draft before this which you had made.
Yeah, there is. So there is internal security notes as well, which are like 50-60 pages. Those 50-60 pages, I made either half of them from most, like 75-80% from Samachar Manthan, and 20% which was left out from the yearly compilation magazine.
Okay.
On top of that, I did this. Okay. And also after prelims, I had used a value addition content material. During my time, there was no X factor notes. So I had to rely on a other compilation for these content enrichment stuff as well, where I have at one places a lot of things like the court judgments, data, statistics, but also mere notes pe everything that was there, that also was putting at one place. Even for example, my polity notes, I'll show you. Like this. This is all my court judgments at one place. And like one committee is this one side, but every this 6 pages or so, like 4 pages or 5 pages are my all of these things. Similarly, if I see my society, yeah. This is something I had done after prelims. Like women ka everything in a compressed manner. Because tab tak now you would be done with your content, conceptual clarity you would have done. You'll just have to, this is for last minute notes. So this I had done very late. But one theme, one page was happening organically week 1 se. Better maybe thoda structure hua baad mein. On top of that, October, November, December में I ensured I enriched my notes with जहाँ syllabus के जो topics नहीं बन पाए हैं उसके notes में बनाऊँ from yearly magazine. Yearly magazine of previous year, because yearly magazines are released इस time पे after prelims. but I was doing that in October, November, December. So yearly magazine of previous year. And after prelims, I did ये सब चीजें, last minute notes.
Okay, I have a question which mostly people have, and so you also studied the PYQs at least for the mains
Yes.
meticulously,
Yes.
right? At least, and so what we've done from this year onwards is, given all the wisdom that you've shared, like you've been sharing for 6 months now, we've एक तो syllabus हो गया UPSC का, the one which they give by the book. एक हो गया उनकी जो PYQs लास्ट 10 साल के आए हैं, what are some of the themes which come out as the prior one themes from that, like those we call micro themes this year. And it's important that you prioritize those micro themes above anything else, and you try to see how much already has been exploited by UPSC and how much is still to exploit, because it's a subjective exam set by some examiner, so you get some bent of mind. तो वो कैसे factor किया तूने?
So let's say, for example, the organic notes तो बन रहे थे समाचार मंथन से. when I'm saying कि October, November, December या mid September के टाइम से when I consciously started see कि अच्छा ये topics नहीं बने हैं मेरे, because I have to give a MEP test now. So I used to, let's say, मुझे अभी internal security में के साथ बैठा, I sat down with internal security and say कि अच्छा these are the portions have been done by समाचार मंथन and these are portions which are left. So I would go back and see mains PYQ topic wise. Free Telegram पे मिलते हैं topic wise mains PYQs. So I'll just go कि अच्छा about, let's say, India and its borders पे these are the type of questions. So I'll orient my notes also वैसे कि अच्छा these are the topics ऐसे पूछे जाते हैं. So I'll make my notes also that way. For example, federalism. I'll check कि अच्छा what are the different types of questions are asked in federalism. So I'll ensure कि everything I will put that way, because federalism is a broad concept. Federalism, there are asymmetrical federalism, symmetrical federalism, competitive federalism, interstate water disputes, ये वो सब कुछ. तो अच्छा, I would say अच्छा this is the way they are coming, like इतना उनका breadth और इतना उनका depth है उस topic में they are asking, and that is how I'll prepare. For subjects like disaster management, I found out कि every year they're asking more or less वही same चीज कि ये disaster पे क्या करना चाहिए. More like general things. So then I did not do that in a lot of depth. That clarity I got by seeing PYQs, kitna depth and kitna breadth, and also ki what are these themes, as you're mentioning ki acha, these are different themes that is being asked. I'll ensure governance where they're asking education, health, tribes, pressure groups, SSGs, microfinance. So I'll ensure I have notes on this.
Makes sense. Let me share a few slides, just to put more things into perspective. So, I mean, looking at your notes, and this is what we made. So one of the things which you get now are flash notes from us, wherein जो Animesh के जो one pager आपको दिख रहे हैं ना, we've collated Animesh के notes, and last year ranker Aditya Pandey, Pawan Datta, who were part of our UAP as well. Plus the whole team sat down, and these are the stuff that we give to you after you would have read your Lakshmikant's, na. These are the ways in which, this is how an engineering mind which kind of objectifies things and put them into structures and tables. This is how we go about. So just giving you a sneak peek into how we have reimagined the revision ready books which you should be having. So aap ke notes banao, that is the highest priority. Every ranker worth his salt or her salt has their own notes. आप पढ़ो भी ऐसी बुकलेट से जहाँ पे आपको थिंग्स काफी ऑब्जेक्टिवली रिटन डाउन है. मतलब I'll ask the team to share the link to download this for free to you guys. But this is where, we're comparing something which otherwise will be just linear lines on books, and, it'll become cumbersome. Now, let me share with you one more.
My PVP, by the way.
Kya?
This was not there during my time. So I had to struggle with these things too. Ye wala cheez, the comparison constitution, it was better. Yeah, so.
Yeah, this we made with, because last year Aditya also mentioned the same thing. He also showed his one pager. And then you also had the same notes. And we thought, let's just put it into a nicely designed stuff. Not just that, इसमें काफी interesting चीजें. And then, this is so comparing the constitution across. Then it's like this fundamental right. These are like, you take the printout of this और लगा दो अपने दीवारों पे.
So this is what I had done myself. Ki last polity, these notes that you see are my mains notes. I have my prelims note which I have not shared anywhere because nobody will understand that, because this were like this only, which I made like 3 months before actual prelims, when I had read Lakshmikant like 6-7 times, and only those things which I felt is I'll forget, or requires last minute revision, or like things that you have to keep in your mind for sure, those things. So which were like this कि, but not as structured, but वैसे बहुत compress करके चीजें.
Yeah, because there's a lot in polity now. Not only they've gone philosophical in some parts, especially prelims, it's like very difficult now, even for repeat rankers to attempt and clear. But they compare a lot of things from one chapter to another, and you need to have that back and forth sorted out in your head.
Yeah. Also, one thing I would say, I would any days thank like UAP and Ranadhir sir, but also it is a conscious, like I saw, read a lot of chats. That's why I'm addressing this. Don't be very, 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 very dependable on anybody, not just any mentor that you're enrolling with, but anybody. Somebody said ki give daily wise plan schedule. No, nobody can give you. And if anybody is giving you daily plan schedule करके also, मतलब a general one, आपको कोई customize करके दे रहे हैं, तो that is something good. But in general, if there's one essay करके, it is not possible. You should not depend. Even the people, let's say, who are already a part of UAP, I would advise, do not make your mentors your therapists, or like somebody like आप हर चीज पे उन पे dependent हो. You have to do something on your own as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think post your selection, a lot of almost everyone is like waking up to mentorship, and they have just
Yeah.
reduced mentorship to a one size fit all LLO plan, and they're just talking generic things, or it's doubt solving, which is what is not mentoring all about. So it's a very fine balance between being assertive and getting you to do things, and not being a therapist to let you just pour out everything, because that's not the part of the job. Mentors are like, your GPS navigator essentially. आप digress कर चुके हो, वो आपको वापस line पे ले आएंगे, because they've seen hundreds of rankers before you who've gone and committed on a wrong path. On that note,
Correct.
let me give you a live example of 3 kind of answers for a single question.
Before you do that, Rohit, I'll just share my history notes that we are done with the notes. So for static subject like especially geography, art and culture, and history, what I did is that since these are not current affairs heavy things, so for that I sat down with the model answers of both the MEPs that I was writing, and also with other freely available previous year means. Because these are static subject, no matter what the test series would have asked in 2021, also that is valid. So I used to download them, and then and they would have covered, let's say, 2 साल का भी, if you see the test series, they would have covered everything, सारे themes, because uske sectional and full length test if you check, they would have covered everything about history. So I ensured कि 2-3 साल के model test answers लेके I prepare this geography, history and art culture के notes for mains. For prelims, I was reading modern history by Spectrum and the NCRTs for ancient. So this is how my main notes look like, which were from the model answers of the test series. Similarly, my geographies are also similar. This, like, this is how my mains. So you see, and few of the things, let's say, you can see smash prelims, uske test के कुछ जो answers मिलते थे, which I used to do value additions to. SM tests, match test. Yeah.
My God, these are very dense.
Yep. See, last year was Gandhi versus Aryan Tagore, but so I made Gandhi versus Bose. So this structure also helped me to answer that question. This last year question, Gandhi versus Rabindranath Tagore. You do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, correct. I mean, to most of us, your notes would look like I was telling you, your notes look like a dense foliage of trees, an aerial view of just heavily dense tree. To you, it looks like connected islands. This connects
yeah,
with
it
that,
does.
that connects
And
with
this
this.
is something I did थोड़ा late in October, November, December. So इसमें maturity है कि I understand कि मुझे leftist movement is a topic, so उसमें ऐसे लिखना है, trade union movement, because this is after I would have read Spectrum twice. But yeah, so this is easy way I can also revise.
Boss, these are like very. Can you zoom on? Like zoom in on this? Yeah. Okay. how many pages must these be crunched in? Like,
So these are beach which are also facts and they're like very prelims heavy stuff. History ka I have look prelims and mains ka modern history. This is only modern history. I have separate notes for art and culture. This is like I think 110 pages. But again, I can't say with confidence. I would rather say not to follow my notes. This were not made so that anyone else would take inspiration from. This was made for myself. You can.
and
I
the
can just
irony that you did not make digital notes.
I tried. Also, I thought making digital notes would be helpful because I was commuting. I was office में breaks में I would be able to study, but नहीं हो पाया. I needed that pen to मुझे याद रखा. I had tried, नहीं हो पाया. I just did digital notes for essay. For others, नहीं.
And some people ask that, were you reading newspaper or had you committed totally to the Samachar Manthan? Time था newspaper पढ़ने का?
No, started, but एक month के बाद I realized कि I can't find time. मतलब absolutely not possible. But that does not mean I will discourage you reading. I would say read it. But I just did not have time. That's why I could not. But during interview, I read extensively. And mains के लिए sociology के लिए I was reading few columnists from Indian Express, which I would strongly advocate as well. But I did not
share
have
their names. Share their names, like the ones with people.
Satish Deshpande, Nivedita Menon, Christopher Jeffrey Lott, Sanjay Srivastava, Dipankar Gupta. These people continue to write.
Okay.
C. Rajamohan writes very frequently on international relations every other day.
Okay. Hey, Animesh, I'll move to the next section, but
Yeah.
I think, are there any college students here in their final year? Just give a yes on the chat. College final year students. Okay. So now these guys would, I'm assuming, be attempting in 2026. There are a lot, many colleges. See, I was telling you, final year students, even in engineering colleges, they bunk their placements. They want to appear for UPSC.
But if somebody is preparing from the second year, please don't, guys. Go and join a society, join, focus on academics, try to explore whether if you want to do civil services or not. अच्छे से, I'll not advocate doing this in your first year, second year. End of third year, when you have clarity, you'll not sit for placement and so internship nahi karna hai. Fourth year, you're starting. That's a different story. But second year, third year, folks also mid third year, I will not advise.
Okay, but you always wanted to clear UPSC, right? That I was set in from the childhood, right? So did you do something in your year at college?
Nothing, not at all.
Nothing. Okay.
But a lot of things that I did in college helped because I was an active debater. I was a journalist and led the student media body. And I was writing article every week continuously for 2 years. So my answer writing practice to tab hui thi, I think, now in hindsight. But nothing ki acha UPSC mein help hoga. This is out of fun that I had done.
No, obviously, but I think that matters, right? I was speaking with Zenden last year. He got 210 in his interview, which is like highest back then. And I asked him, okay, like, what did you do to get there? So his sister is a psychologist. And I mean, these two guys, they had this thing that whenever they used to debate from everyone's perspective, every possible perspective. Ki, what would this guy say? What would that say? Which used to give them so many perspectives that when he went to the interview, could almost figure out what does this chairperson or the member want to hear from me, like, make out from there and, kind of understand their inclination. That high order stuff, which even the mock panels cannot teach you. It has to be coming from your best practices. So
that's what I'm saying.
Kids who are in college,
you cannot be like dependent ऐसा एक structure. It cannot be. कुछ चीजें है, you'll have to take framework है, structure, you'll have to prepare. And I always say this exam is more about preparation and less about learning. But कुछ चीजें you'll have to intuitively gain. कुछ innovation खुद से लाना पड़ेगा. Like as Rohit was mentioning this for interview के लिए, for sociology per se, I used to discuss with my friend कि अच्छा बताओ what is the sociological perspectives of XYZ. Why are like in every cafe is looking like literally the same. So इसका sociological perspectives क्या है? The cafes in Bombay, cafes in Delhi, cafes in Bhubaneswar are all looking the same. Why? So there is a sociology behind that as well. So वो थोड़ा openness होना चाहिए, genuine interest होना चाहिए things around you.
Yeah. Okay, let me do this before, we run out of time. I'll share with you, because, we want to make these sessions as practical as they can. So I'll share with you one question, 3 different answers. So you get a sense of how your evolution should look like when you prepare. And these are the answers you get checked from your mentors, and then they discuss it with you. The question is this: development and welfare schemes for the vulnerable by its nature are discriminatory in approach. Abhi, I'm assuming you don't know anything about anything, and this you give a very generic answer, and this is an answer given by a beginner. Okay. The thing to note here is that there are a lot of, what do you say, vacuousness of speech. मतलब हम बहुत कुछ लिखते हैं, but हम point नहीं बना रहे कुछ. Right? It happens sometimes that you end up saying a lot, but you're making hardly 1 or 2 points, but you end up expending a lot of words for that. Take some time, read through this. And once I show you the ranker level answer, I'll tell you what an introduction, what a heavy introduction and a heavy conclusion should look like. कितना crisp और कितनी economy of words होनी चाहिए आपके दिमाग में when you're attempting answers. Okay? So, write on the chat क्या-क्या लग रहा है आपको, क्या-क्या gaps हैं इसमें. If anyone who's even started preparing, बताओ क्या-क्या missing points लग रहे हैं. Point wise नहीं है, okay? 1. What's the real point? Diagrams, नहीं, diagram अलग चीज होती है. Intro is too long. So, here's the thing. This is what Ranadi told in the last call. आप पठान मूवी पे देखने आ रहे हो और शाहरुख खान की एंट्री नहीं हो रही है और 15-20 मिनट चले गए. Audience already छोड़ के जा चुकी होगी. And that's a fun analogy to tell you that, you're not banging on with the core crux of the problem. I'll tell you the veteran answer. This is how a veteran writes. Still, the introduction is slightly vacuous. It's repeating the question, particularly in developing nations like India. However, the statement raises an important question. All of this is nonsense. It's not an essay. It's a GS question. You have to hit it right. Argument in agreement with the statement to बिल्कुल crisp नहीं है. अब तुम ranker level answers देखो. This is how the economy of word. 215 नंबर के क्वेश्चन को शायद 250 वर्ड्स लिखने होते हैं आपको. 24 वर्ड्स गए इंट्रो में, 23 वर्ड्स गए कंक्लूजन में. And it's crisp. You will see it and you will feel it. And once you've seen this, now if I take you to the beginner answer, when you will see कि आप first level पे ही हटा दोगे, you will give an average or less than average marks and you will go on as an examiner. ठीक है. Animesh, I want you to give a perspective to this. Like, when do you get to this stage of putting your thoughts?
Yes, organically, yes, but this is something that I saw from toppers copies कि ये लोग ऐसे ही लिखते हैं. So मेरे notes also, this is how when I was showing my one theme, one page notes also is ऐसे ही थे. The argument and then उसके side में कोई data, कोई court judgment वैसा. Because if you see lack of representation, 14% is women in parliament, charity-based mindset, 3% of public building, not like only being accessible to people with special abilities. So ऐसे वाले ही I made my notes too. But यहाँ पे also will say कि there is some you can improve upon is जैसा I knew कि development and welfare scheme for vulnerable है तो I'll start with Article 46, a DPSP which talks about government has to make provisions for better again. So more or less this, but अगर उससे भी थोड़ा better जाना है तो you'll have to this construct रखना पड़ेगा कि अच्छा इस topic पे introduction ये है, conclusion ये है. So a lot of my conclusion introductions were also made, but not on day one. This happened very late. But I prepared for that.
Okay, perfect. Cool. There's something I do, and I started doing this only in the latest set of webinars, because towards the end, towards 45 minutes, like now there are 57 minutes into the webinar, people get overwhelmed. कि ये सब कुछ सही है, and we tend to miss out on one point or the other. करना कैसे होता है? How does this journey look like? Now, this is I've picked up from very famous podcaster / writer Amit Verma, and he has this famous podcast called Seen and the Unseen, and Animesh is also a fan of it now that I've recommended to him. He once took a small session on the art of learning. Okay? And I'll just take you to the 2 diagrams जो बहुत important है for everyone to understand. This is forever in life, not just UPSC. Now, whenever you start anything new, you're novice. एक beginners luck करके चीज होती है. अभी आपको पता ही नहीं है कि आपकी incompetence कहाँ है, and you're unconscious about it. So you just start. This is where Animesh or anyone starts on the week 1. You start writing. And once you start writing, you quickly go to the advanced beginner stage, which is now you start becoming conscious of your incompetences with respect to whatever target you want to achieve. UPSC, whatever. Let's, for the sake of argument, take UPSC. Now, during the mentorship stages, mentors will not, are not palatable that way. They will just sugarcoat everything. They'll tell you, hey, this is what you're lacking. You completed your NCRT, but you सवाल नहीं कर पाए हो. You've done this, but यहाँ पे भी missing है. And you will be made aware of all the things that you have to improve upon. Most of us stay in denial here. Only few of us are able to move to the conscious competence stage, where we've figured out these 10 things are lacking, and someone has told us, ये ऐसे करना, and you start moving towards that. When you are in conscious competence stage, this is a diagram, which your life kind of looks like. This is a Dunning-Kruger effect ka diagram. So you start on the leftmost bottom, you suddenly jolted to the reality. Let me do this. And you have this high esteem, ki I know everything. You start attempting 1 or 2 Samachar Manthan paper and you get it checked, and you kind of start realizing, oh, there's more to what I thought. I think I'm not even able to construct a proper grammatical sentence. I'm not able to, put my connected thoughts in a flow. And you get into a stage where you kind of feel the overwhelming weight of this all. यहाँ पे is where mentors come in and they kind of tell you नहीं है इतना मुश्किल, तुम छोटे छोटे करके you break it into these promises and then you start attempting this, and then the journey starts. And once, even when you're at the end of the journey, right, that is the reason why I asked Animesh to show their notes, tell me what draft it is, because it's a complicated process. ये कभी भी ऐसा flying arch नहीं मिलेगी तुमको. Even if once you've aced this now, even if you have to tell it in a webinar when you get the rank, you will tell it's complicated, yaar. It doesn't happen on day one. Even after prelims, you keep adding to the notes, you keep making more and more, and you kind of keep augmenting the process. Stay put with this. This is unlike the engineering and medical exams. This is a very different ballgame, UPSC. And you have to have a very different mindset. These are the 3 phases with which you study, which is what we've told. PYQ hone chahiye. You have to make sure that your NCRTs and standard sources are covered. Those notes are revision ready. They're augmented as you go. And the third phase with CD is that, your everything is hardcore exam prep. Nothing is just PhD nahi kar rahe ho, aap exam nikalna hai aapko. Let me see if we have anything else. Yes. Now this is something which Animesh didn't do for prelims, but while we try to make sense of ki recurring themes kya hai, we also look for UPSC and allied exams. So not just civil services ke previous year questions, but also geoscientist papers and EPFO, because you kind of get a sense of where UPSC is tilting towards. And once you have that sense, and you will see common themes, okay? And I'll share the PDF of this webinar with you. But once you share and see the common themes, aapko pata lagega ki if you have to prioritize your studies for whatever reasons you don't have enough time, you need to work on micro themes. So once you figured out that Sangam micro themes में ये चीजें होती हैं, ethical, heroism, bravery and all that jazz, अब तुम इनके notes बनाने बैठो. अब तुम देखो कि इनके notes standard textbook से मिल रहे हैं, like we just discussed, या फिर you have to go beyond the call of duty and do some Google research and consolidate the notes. The flash notes that we have made for almost all the subjects now will give you all this in one pager. But it's always advisable कि आप भी research करो apart from that. So this is it. This is mota the most practical aspects of this webinar. I'll open the floor to you guys. Type in your, your questions on chat. We'll pick up 4 or 5. We'll consolidate the question and see if there's anything left which we haven't addressed. Animesh, you can also read the chat and see if there's a question which is worth it, which we could have missed out on the webinar.
Could you please say a lot of things? Somebody asked, could you tell me any extra secrets like your article writing every week? Acha, as in how my background helped. I said a lot of my upbringing. My father and mother were from academia. My peer circle were all, as I said, everybody, they were not preparing for UPSC, but all into different kind of politics, socioeconomic stuff. So my upbringing has helped, I would admit, any day. So division strategy, like not reading anything on Sunday is new. Sunday ko it was all Samachar Manthan test and revising everything that I have studied from Monday to Saturday. And I used to, this is something I did thoda baad mein, but active recall helps. Like once you are done, let's say 1 hour of like any subject you are reading, just then close your eyes for 5 minutes and try to recapitulate everything that you had studied, at least the index of it. That also helps for revision and track your revision. I used to track ki today is August 9 and I have read this. So maybe iska next revision I have to do in like, let's say after 35-40 days. And I was trying to make an Excel sheet, half partially successful, partially unsuccessful, but I was measuring it some way. Ki, acha, this I'll have to next revise this. So and also monthly revision. This revision strategy my mentor has said me. 100% credits to him. He had also said कि आप monthly also revise करो. Even the Samachar Manthan test that you are writing, maintain an Excel sheet and see कि you are revising that कौन से day पे. So measuring your revision was the key. The most boring thing, but the most crucial thing.
The most boring thing was?
Revising.
Yeah. Okay.
One thing else just we did not talk about, but I will also emphasis on, which has helped me, is using toppers notes.
Okay.
In no way I'm telling use mine, but I'm saying you I had used 2 toppers notes, Jayant Nahata and Divyanshu Nigam, because that suited me. You can choose anybody you want to, but a lot of things is a ready-made things if you're getting, then make the best use of it. So that is something that I wanted to put out. And for sociology also, I extensively had studied Neha Bhosle's notes. That were my base notes, in fact. So make use of topper notes as well as topper copies for both GS, ethics, essay ethics, to for sure. Take the best, like make the best out of the topper answers for essay and ethics.
Okay, fair point. There's someone who asked a longer question and just scroll down. While the process of consolidation of notes for mains, we're often faced with self-doubt. If what I'm doing is right or is it sufficient, leading to lack of consistency and slacking. How to overcome this and come out of the loop? I'm assuming it has to do about getting yourself assessed.
Exactly. So for me, Samachar Manthan was every week. So, and then during after 7 months, 8 months, I wrote full length test also, subject wise full length test. So that helped. But as you're saying, I understand. And this self doubt would happen till you also get all India rank 1. This will be a part of the process. It's just that you'll be more comfortable with those self doubts.
Yeah. And I mean, and just to humanize this whole thing, no, I'll tell you what. While we have the shared screen, I'll tell you, even the rankers, potential rankers, the people who've gotten their rank and who are giving the reattempt, ये process ना बहुत interesting है यार UPSC का. आप perfect करते रहो and there's still a lot to perfect. So I'll tell you what, the essays specifically have changed a lot over the last 5 years. The essay paper now, it has become much more reflective than what it used to be. It used to be kind of an extension to your GS studies. It's nothing like that now. You have to be having a good abstract thought and a good grasp on philosophy of abstraction to attempt it. I'll share an example. The question, so abhi Smash means chal raha, Animesh is handling that with us. And Smash means ka ek part hai Smash essay. And you can start, by the way, essay preparation kabhi bhi start kar sakte ho aap. We gave a question to the rankers now. The question is simple. Purpose of education is to turn mirrors into windows. Okay. Now you will see a lot of people might have interesting anecdotes, but they will put a different anecdote in a different place and they'll lose marks. So ये वाला anecdote जो है, ये वो है. I mean, if you know I think तुलसीदास की कहानी है कि या वाल्मीकि कहानी, वाल्मीकि है शायद ये, कि he was a dacoit once and he used to loot people. And then Narad Muni met with him and he said that, whatever pap you're accruing, do you think your family will share in that? And he went back to the family and family said, nahi bhaiya, hum to kuch nahi karenge. Whatever you're doing is your own karma. And he came back and he became a saint. And then he wrote the epic. But this example doesn't fit into this question. What this question from essay is saying is that if you get on the part of education, mirrors meaning your own ego. something which keeps reflecting your own ego, your own belief, your systems, which is a very limited way of looking at things. That will get transformed into windows, which is where you let other ideas come in. Ye chamak raha hai na? This you get it, right? You remember Gandhiji's famous quote, open the windows and let the fresh air come in, let new ideas come in. That is what the question is hinting towards. But I have seen even the best of the aspirants, if they're not at their A game, they'll end up misreading a question. Same question, another attempt. Ye dekho. Right on the verge of Mahabharata, Arjun was in the face of dilemma ki, should I be fighting this war or not? And then Sri Krishna taught him the path of Karma Yoga. Okay? Now this is halfway correct. Because Arjun, with his limited understanding of what dharma is, should he be fighting this war or not? Is it violence or is it something else? He was willing to quit the war and he put his Gandiv down. This is when kind of Krishna came in and gave him the Gita ka sar. This is halfway there. Take another example, same question. Now this is a random hypothetical anecdote. As Manoj looked outside the window, he could see rain clouds getting over the village. He was satisfied that he has harvested his standing crop only 2 days ago and diligently followed the SMS update. What it's saying is that someone got educated and now they are well versed with technology, so they could take up a weather update and then do the thing in time. But that's not what the question is about. This is the problem which most of us will face, that we have enough gyan, but because we're not sitting it properly and sitting through with it, kahin ka kahin fit kar doge. And the only way to get out of this puddle is that you start your answer writing day one. कुछ भी लिखो या आप day one पे लिखोगे, day one को आपको मेंटर करेक्ट करके बोल देगा कि यार गलत जा रहे हो, कोर्स करेक्ट कर लो. एक और देखते हैं. And I'm giving you these examples because so that you have enough masala to see कि यार मैं कहीं भी फंस सकता था यहाँ पे. The society is mired with regressive ideas of child marriage, Pada system and whatnot. And then Raja Ram Mohan Roy and Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar and Henry Vivian de Rosio, these guys came and they kind of abolished the system. Now, this is towards getting a better example, that you have taken a society as a whole, which was just looking in the mirror of their past, which got corrupted. So वही belief system वापस चले जा रहे हैं, and then few people stood out and they kind of opened the windows, or they kind of rubbed the mirror and opened the windows and gave new ideas. And वो कहाँ से ला रहे थे ideas? From French Revolution, American Revolution, etc. etc. चमक में आ रहा है ना यहाँ पे. Like, I hope this makes sense for most of you guys, right? That this is how your preparation needs to evolve, and that is when you will have a much, much more mature stand towards your exam. This is it. This is all that any good coaching or institute or academy needs to impart to you. Nothing else. Okay. That said, it's been 1 hour, 15 minutes, guys. Thank you for being here and being such a sporty audience here. If there's any interesting question, put in there and we'll see if we can take one more question from Animesh. Whoever has a specific question कि मैं 2025 के लिए prepare कर रही हूँ and what should be my timetable look like, please click on the WhatsApp link and we'll have a detailed chat with you. Animesh, we forgot to address the mental and physical health. Let's take the last point, which is very crucial.
Physical health is also important. It would be an irony coming from me, but please do check in yourself for physical health, because I cannot stress enough, like it is important. And for mental health, more so, it is important because this exam is more about failures than success, and it's so uncertain. It's also coming out of irony that now I've gotten this rank, so whatever I say becomes a line of authority. But whatever you guys are writing, I had the same things to write on 15th of April as well. Same doubts, same self-doubts, everything. And I've been immensely lucky with this exam to have done in the maiden attempt. But all the fears, all the anxieties that you are going through this process is right. The only good thing was that I had some support system, and I would also encourage you to have one. I had other things also in life, which that life-changing stuff happening for me. But I had tried, made conscious efforts for myself to check on myself. I was on therapy. I'm still on therapy, and I do not shy away from accepting that either. But it's also nothing to be like to be shy or not to be shy. It's as normal as saying that I have a headache, so I had a paracetamol, or might not be also. It's you. Somebody could have a even more intense form of mental health issue. Whatever it is, it's okay if you want to see a counselor. If it's okay if you do not want to, but think about it. And I would encourage you, if you are having an issue, so not having any intense issues also, if you are finding any resource, check yourself for that. Second, have a support system in terms of your family, friends, or partners, relatives, anybody. I had a good support system. My sister and mother were extremely supportive. I had a school friend group which were through my thick and thin. Nobody from UPSC. I knew few people here and there from UPSC, but not like somebody as a support system, I would not say. But and I think more than the cumulative power of all Lakshmikants, all spectrum combined together, the essence of that support system is 1,000 times more important than all the books combined that you would read. So that is something that you should be more like conscious about. And also for everybody who are like will prepare from 2026 or so, have this like thing in mind ki how many years you want to put in. And I had done a conscious decision that I will do it alongside a job. And I would also advise you that if, let's say, I understand it might not be possible to do alongside a job, but if you think that you will taking this full time, in my opinion, take this for like 1.5 year max. It is absolutely okay, and it's possible to cover everything in 1.5 year. Might not be in the most refined way. I was lucky to have done it first attempt, but let's say 1.5 साल में तैयारी हो जाती है. After that, you refine yourself, you practice more, and you do a lot of content enrichment. So give everything for 1.5 year. We are quitting jobs, everything. After that, take up a job and do this alongside that. Or even though you do not want to do that, make a plan till how many years you can go unemployed, because it adds on to your mental issue as well. And make this planning key for this 2 years, 3 years, how many years you want to prepare. Who will support you financially, who will support you emotionally. All these plannings have to be made. If you fail, what is your plan B? And उस plan B के लिए क्या करना पड़ता है, उसके लिए कितने साल लगते हैं. This wider picture should have in mind before you do this planning of कि Lakshmikant कब पढ़ूं, Spectrum कब पढ़ूं. That is more important. And honestly, guys, it's important that you take. I don't know, like, why do people? I understand why, but I'm as 2 साल में भी हो जाती है. After that, if you're not getting through, you can keep on attempting, but do with a job is what I would personally request everybody to. Do not invest a lot of your prime years for an exam. Do that, but not compromising any other life. You know, early 20s, there are 1,000 other important things rather than knowing what were the causes for revolt of 1857. So make best use of that as well.
So if on that note, as a final thing, if you were not to see you going to the IAS services, what would you be doing? What would your plan be like?
I had plan A, B, C, D, E, F. So, but
please tell your B, C,
of
D.
them was I would have done MBA. Would have been a consultant. If that would not have turned well, then I would have done something with sociology. Initially, I thought I'll join TIS if things do not pan out well and do research in sociology. One of my seniors said that think bigger in life. So then I was looking forward, how do I get into this top Ivy Leagues as well for sociology? So either consultancy or sociology was something in sociology was the goal. Well, I knew what in sociology especially, but I'll not go deeper into that.
Awesome. Thank you. On that note, guys, thank you for everyone joining this evening. It's kind of late and it's Friday night. Thanks, Animesh. Well, lovely to have this thing. Even though we've discussed this ad infinitum, it's just fresh to hear this thing again from you.
All the best, everyone. I hope you keep yourself well, both physically, mentally, and otherwise, and do really well and become, no matter what AIR you get, just be well. Take care of your health. That is more important. And in the process of taking yourself health, may you get all in the rank 1 and get your preferred services.
That's such a wonderful blessing. Take care. Bye. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.